Jeremiah 29:11 says, because it says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to have your plans to give you hope and a future. I also go to Psalms 139, that he fearfully and wonderfully made us.
Hey.
Go with what God has said about you if you do not know. You definitely have to do that. And then you have to admit that you're wearing a mask. If there is no awareness, there is no change. You have to know that you're wearing a mask and understand the reason why you wear the mask. A lot of people don't want to deal with the whys of things, but if you ask those questions and start dealing with the why, then you'll know why you do what you do. Because sometimes we like to change because somebody says, don't do this anymore, and guess what? You won't do it for a little while, and then you'll go back to doing it because you did not understand the true why. And then another thing is sometimes we have to seek help. Whatever it works for you, you have to seek help, whether it's a spiritual advisor, whether it's a counselor, whether it's a therapist, whatever or whoever it is. I started off by journaling, reading self-help books, and thinking that was going to push and propel me, and it did help. But I needed somebody to kind of help me and help me to navigate through my own issues and understand why was I doing what I was doing. And counseling worked for me. And even through that process of going to counseling, I became a counselor myself because I began to understand my true purpose. And there's nothing like walking in freedom. Because we know that the word says that whom the Son hath set free, that we are free indeed. Are you walking in true liberty today? Are you walking in freedom? Because if you're not, you got a mask. And you need to remove that mask. And then the third thing is, you need to make a conscious effort not to wear that mask anymore.
Wow.
What I'm saying to you is that's not going to be an easy thing to do because we like familiarity. We like to do what we've always done because it's comfortable.
Right.
So when we remove the mask, we're walking out of our comfort zone and we begin to do something totally different. We're allowing people to see us, our hurts, our flaws, that we're not perfect. And the one thing that I can say is that there was a time when I had to stand up before anybody. I broke out in hives. It was something that I did not like to do or choose to do, and I still don't run forward and say, let me do it. That's not who I am. But I told God yes, and I told him that I would be obedient and I would do what it is that he asked me to do. So I try to be obedient. What I want you guys to do is remember, do you guys remember this quote? To thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. Because how can you walk into true purpose if you don't know who you are and if you told yourself a lie? Even if it seems like you're successful. And if you're successful and you think you're happy, but at the core something's missing. There's a void there and you're trying to figure out, what am I doing? Is this really for me? Am I doing this because other people have projected on their thoughts of what I should be doing? Or is it something that I truly want to do?
Wow.
We don't think that those voices make a difference, but they do if you don't sit with you to figure out who you are. To thine own self be true. If you want to walk into true purpose, be honest.
That's right.
Be authentic. It's okay to stand here and say, you know what? I'm shaking in my boots, but I can get through it because God says I can, because he's on my side. I want you guys to know that God is a healer and he is a restorer.
Yes, he is.
And that he can help you to remove the mask. For whatever reason, whatever issues that you're dealing with, or whatever challenges that have happened over in your life, you have a choice. You don't have to stay in that same situation. You don't have to continue to wear that mask. You can be true and you can be authentic. let God help you to walk you through to be in His divine purpose.
Yes.
My purpose is not your purpose. So I'm going to encourage you guys to choose to remove the mask and start your journey to free purpose so you can walk into freedom and liberty. I told you I'm not going to be before you long. I appreciate your time. I do know Carolyn had asked me to talk about one word, and my word was brokenness. And as I reflect on brokenness, because I do love working with married couples, and so a lot of times in relationships, things aren't always what they appear to be. No one goes into marriage expecting to be divorced, or nobody goes into marriage to have all these type of issues.
That's right.
And sometimes in relationships, when you're working hard and you want the best for your mate and your spouse, and one day somebody walk in the door and they say, I don't want this anymore. You're blindsided and you just don't have a clue.
Yeah.
That's a brokenness on the inside that nobody can explain.
That's right.
Because first of all, you said, I did this, or I wanted to marry to death do us part.
That's right.
And now, you want to walk out my life. Brokenness is one of those things that God has to put back to pieces.
Yes, yes.
And understand this, whatever thing that you walk through, that God is going to restore you, and it's going to be better on the other side.
That's right.
And sometimes relationships take that. Sometimes relationships take for us to go through different things so we can get back to putting God first
Yes.
and making Him our head, and He can work on us. And as He begins to work on us, He's putting us back together from being broken. And our relationship can even flourish. Remember this, we're still sitting on the potter's wheel. And God is still making us and molding us.
That's right.
And you have to know that if something has broken you at your core, God is able to do all things exceedingly and abundantly well. He gives us grace and He gives us mercies, and I thank God for it. And when you have some time, look at Jeremiah 18, 1 through 12. And that'll kind of help you walk through some of the things about brokenness. I appreciate your time, and thank you.